Hi guys, welcome to the Strange Man channel. In this video I will tell interesting stories. What's the most shocking thing you've ever caught a family member doing? Story 1. This is something I'll never forget. I was in 7th grade and my older sister was in 9th. She was having a bunch of friends from school over. I thought I'd be hilarious and hide in her closet before they got to her room with the intention of popping out and scaring them. So I'm in the closet just waiting, and my sister comes in the room with about 4 or 5 of her friends. They are all just talking for a few minutes, and I start to get bored. I decide it's time to make my move. I jump out, and I see something I had never seen in person. Breasts everywhere. My sister and all of her friends are standing or sitting around without outerwear and in their underwear. I couldn't believe it. They all covered up and yelled at me to get out. Don't ever let girls try to tell you they don't do this when they hang out. I've seen it with my own eyes. Edit. I don't know what my sister and her friends were into, but it appears no other female on this thread finds my story reasonable. All I know is I saw breast. Edit. I just realized the first time I saw breast in real life was about 6 sets at once, but included my sister. Worth it. Story 2. I had to drive my mum to meet him stepdad for a business trip. Since it was the holidays, we brought my little brother and planned on staying there for the weekend. There was a party to the hotel, so my mum and stepdad go, and I stay and play TF2 while my bro watches. He falls asleep and so I browse Reddit for a while. But not 30 seconds after I put my laptop down and decided to sleep did my parents come in drunk, undress and did it right next to me. I pretend to be asleep but my stepdad came too early and my mum kept yelling just make me it. I want to finish so bad, etc. He eats her out, then they did it again, shower and then go to bed. After they fell asleep and were snoring, brother rolls over and looks me directly in the eyes with a WTF look. Story 3. My brother had been in the bathroom for hours. He was like 4. We finally told him we were coming with or without his permission. We get in there and there are little plastic army men everywhere. Everywhere. I know it doesn't sound very shocking compared to some of the stories here, but they were everywhere. We have no idea how he reached some of the spots where the army men were. They were in the corner of the shower, in the fan, balancing on the light fixtures. It just didn't make sense. He even managed to lift the back of the toilet and put them in there. He didn't have any kind of explanation. It was very weird. He used like 2 buckets of army men. It took a few weeks before we managed to find them all. Story 4. My father and I were sitting in the family room watching television when my little brother came downstairs from taking a shower wrapped in a towel. He sat down on the sofa, unwrapped the towel, and proceeded to start rubbing his snake like it was nobody's business. To be fair, he was too young to realize it was a thing, and had no clue he shouldn't do it in front of other people. My dad looked over and said, "Don't ever let me see you do that again," and went right back to watching TV. Story 5. DAMNIT. I am way too late to this party. I have been waiting for this kind of thread to tell this story. I hope someone sees it. I was 8, my brother 6. I had a friend, 10 years, who had a brother 12 years. They also had a sister 5 or 6 years. Their oldest bro had just learned about procreation through the sex ed class at school, who told the younger brother, who in turn told the younger sister. She proceeds to let my brother in on it. Note, through the process of telephone many key elements were lost in the process. Me and my 10-year-old friend walk past the laundry room in our apartment complex a few days after. And what do we find? My little brother, but booty without clothing, on top of his but booty without clothing little sister, humping like a madman. This was no child's play. This was as hardcore as you can imagine. My little bro was going to town, like Peter North. Now, I doubt it was erect, and I doubt he actually penetrated. But man, the kid had heart. He was dominating that little girl. Of this, I am not exactly proud. I was kind of disgusted, as it was my first time ever seeing anything of the sort. My friend and I just stared in disgust at all. WTF are we watching? After about a minute of watching this, what happens? My mother comes to get the clothes she was washing out of the washer. Me and my friend hightail it around the corner. She walks in on an adult movie star in the making and proceeds to flip her lid, as any normal person should do. My brother got his ass beat. We all got in trouble. Couldn't hang out for like 2 months. After our grounding, when we were finally allowed back outside again to play with our friends, my little bro was back at it. He was caught 3 different times with that girl over the summer and preceding months, doing the same thing. He swore up and down that she talked him into it each time. A few months after that, he was caught by our apartment manager with his hose in the daughter's mouth. That's right, the daughter of the apartment manager. Remember, this kid was 6 when it started, 7 at this point. No one ever believes this when I tell it, but I swear on bacon and narwhals that this is the honest truth. He still grins like a clown every time I bring it up. Hope you see this, bro. Your secret is out. Story 6. Kinda on the subject. When I was 16, I went over my friend's house and we both did it to his mom's adult tape, no blanket separating us or anything. Also, caught my dad with it once. That's shocking, but not too crazy. That was also the day I learned my dad had a huge hose. Finally, when I was 17, I started getting into some pretty bad. Eventually, my mom caught on to what I was looking at after I got lazy and didn't clear the history. One day she looked at me and said to me, "I've seen what you look at, and you are going to hell." Story 7. I will describe a few things my cousin did. I didn't catch him doing them, but they're strange nonetheless. 1. He had guinea pigs for 2 days, after which they died. He buried them in a plastic ice cream container. He would dig them up several times a year to see how far they had decayed. Frequently, he would surprise friends he brought over with the container. 2. We live near the ocean. A ferry service services a nearby wharf. This ferry is sometimes booked for weddings. My cousin was jumping off the wharf without clothing when the ferry came alongside with a wedding party. My cousin started turning without clothing somersaults in the water so he could expose his ballsack and fanny. Sex. 3. Across the road from the beach there is a large park. One evening there was a Christian youth group playing soccer. My cousin asked the leaders if he could play. He looked pretty normal initially, shirtless, with towel around the waist. Once they said he could play, he stripped off the towel revealing his lime green G-string. He then ran through all the Christians and lay on the ball and started gyrating against it. 4. We went on a whitewater rafting trip with our families once when we were about 7. There were several families and couples on the trip. One guy in particular my cousin fixated on. He was with his recently married wife. So, for 5 days straight my cousin called him nothing but Merlin and challenged him to magical duels, asked him about dragons, spells, demons, King Arthur, etc. He was about 7 at the time. Merlin wanted to kill him at the end of it. 5. I once found him to pictures of fat, old women. He was totally nonchalant about it. I reckon he would have finished right there had I stayed. Story 8. I was 5 and had a bad dream, so I walked in on my parents mid-doggy style. My dad leapt from the floor to the bed and my mom just got up and pretended I didn't see anything. Totally forgot why I walked in for. Then when I was 18, my parents had passed away from a boating accident when I was 17, so my older brother and I were left to look after my little twin sisters who were 11. Anyways, my little sisters learned the flute in school and had their first band concert, so I was trying to find a mini DV tape to record over for their concert. I ended up finding my parents' tape. Nothing is worse than finding your dead parents' tape. Story 9. TLDR comes first due to content. My brother would frequently our German Shepherd. I discovered this one night in a Louisiana summer with the blistering heat and everything. I was just all lying there, wishing I had a glass of water. 11 years old. So finally it started to keep me awake and I decided not to follow my brother's rule, don't get up late at night, you'll wake me up. And got up anyway. Now here's the thing, my brother's room was a remodeled garage, and the door had slats in it that opened and closed. The bar to open and close them was on the other side, but you could just peek through them by lifting one of the slats, you know. I hear the distinct sound of my brother being awake and mumbling something. So I'm like, what the f***? Our Dreamcast is in his room? Is he seriously just trying to keep me out at night so he can hog the Dreamcast that I pitched in half for? We had Crazy Taxi and Power Stone and Shenmue and I hadn't beaten any of them, and one of my biggest peeves at the time was my brother playing ahead in a game, saving over my saves and therefore ruining it for me. I wasn't happy with that. I go into the kitchen, fetch my water, and on the way back, peek through the door. That image is going to be burned into my goddamn retina forever. In the dull glow of his television was my fat brother but without clothes, fondling our dog, which he'd coerced into rolling onto its back. I did what any sensible 11-year-old would do, screamed, and chucked the plastic cup of water at him and ran when he came running after me to shut me up. I've never been more horrified. So of course our parents found out. And of course we've hated each other ever since. He was 16 at the time, by the way, and over the course of the next month, he tried running away from home 5 or 6 times. Eventually my parents just rented him an apartment and he's still a lazy piece of mooching shit to this day. If I sound bitter, it's because I am. I am tremendously bitter. That. Having to cry on my brother for undulating his obese cashew hose toward our dog. The bizarre shit that started to turn up on our computer. Goddamn it. Anyway, the topic was shocking and I think that's the most shocking thing I can imagine. So there. Now I'm gonna resume never thinking about this again. TLDR 2, Crazy Taxi is still a load of fun. Well guys, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye everyone.